The Adventurer's Log 1.1029.20. Hi, I'm Bobby, and we're going to talk about Star Trek Discovery today, Episode 3 of Season 3. But before we get to that, let's look at this day in tech history. First message on the internet. October 29th, 1969, UCLA student Charlie Klein attempts to transmit the text "log in" to a computer at the Stanford Research Institute over the first link on the ARPANET, which, as we read the other day, was the precursor to the modern internet. After the letters L and O are sent, the computer crashed. The system crashed, making the first message ever sent over the internet was "low." Haha. About an hour later, after recovering from the crash, the full text of login is successfully sent. So, that's today's tech history. So, on to our episode, Star Trek Discovery. Alright, so we're in the third season of Star Trek Discovery, episode 3, People of Earth. That's the title of that episode. Again, spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to know what's happening, turn it off. So, they return to Earth. Before they do that, we learn a little about Burnham's year with Booker. There's obviously a connection between them. It doesn't seem like it's fully emotional relationship level, but it sure seems close. But we do finally get back to Earth. And we see, if I remember right, the name, I might be wrong on the name, and if I am, I apologize. But we see the Earth United Defense Force, or some sort of Earth Defense Force. It's a giant force field all over the planet, and there's several scout ships that patrol the planet. And the reason they did that is because Starfleet left, which we don't know where their homes are, or where Starfleet's home base is, or whatever. Also, with that means Earth is no longer part of Starfleet. That's kind of a big deal, because it was the Vulcans and Earth and several others, but specifically those two were the founding members. So that's a big deal. And I think it was due to the burn, because no one knew if it was an attack on Starfleet. They don't know if it was a natural thing or if it was an attack. And if it was an attack, it could happen again. And I think Starfleet realized that the best thing for Earth was for it to leave. Its home base wasn't Earth anymore. So I think that's what was for the best. We do see, I'm not going to spoil when it is, but we do see a very familiar face in the sci-fi realm in the last 20 years. Christopher Hyderall. I think that's how you say his name. He played, let's see here. He played Taylor's dad in Stargate Atlantis. Also played Michael. Not Michael. The one that Colonel Shepard always worked with. He played Jack the Ripper in Sanctuary. He played 2 or 3 different characters in Stargate SG-1. He's a big name, big voice a familiar face with sci-fi. So I'm excited to finally see him back in a sci-fi show. Um, not gonna tell you who he is. When you see him, you'll see him and go, "You!" So, excuse me. Um, with that, with Burnham and Saru, first thing that is truly happens before they even end up going back to Earth is Saru is like, "Hey, you and I need to talk about who's in control, who's gonna be the captain or whatever." And Burnham looks at him and goes, "It's yours. It's your ship, your seat. You're the captain." So we now have a captain of Star Trek or of the USS Discovery. Saru! Woohoo! Um, so with that, I feel like their first act was to develop peace between Earthlings and the creatures we saw in the trailer. They are from Titan. You just have to wait and see what they are. I'm only giving certain spoilers, so yeah. Um, so they develop peace, and it's pretty much like the first step in the right direction for Starfleet. So that's good. Um, the people on Earth have said y'all can come back anytime. We won't attack y'all like we did last time. A bunch of the crew went down to Earth to look at the big tree that was on Starfleet Academy. So that was a very warm, touchy feeling. Booker says to Burnham at some point, like, "You owe me big time. I got a rash from that uniform," and he had to wear a uniform because they didn't want the Earth Defense Force to arrest him for being a pirate or something like that. So he put on a uniform. And so he was like, "You owe me big time." And she goes, "Well, I got you a fresh start in a new quadrant. I think we're even." So with that, and this is probably known from the previous seasons, but that just proves that the Discovery can jump anywhere in the galaxy if they have the coordinates. Because we knew the planet that Booker and Michael met on was roughly 100 light years from the last remaining natural wormhole. Well, we know from Star Trek lore that's DS9 over there near Bajor. So we knew that they were in the beta quadrant there. And so they're now back on the alpha quadrant. That just proves they can jump anywhere if they have the coordinates. And again, that's probably was well known beforehand, but yeah. One of the people who joins the crew, spoiler, is a human Trill. Not too sure how that happened. I know a lot of people are going to go, "What? That can't happen," and freak out, but they'll explain it. I think that's neat. I've always been a fan of the Trill species. Even several of my different Star Trek games, if I had the opportunity to be a Trill, I was a Trill. So it's interesting. We've got a human Trill. They'll obviously go over that, because we saw the trailer, and so it looks like that's the next stop is Trill Homeworld or whatever. So we'll see about that. All right. Now this is time for my questions. Will we see more unknown alien species? It is 900 years in the future from where they were, or whatever. there's gotta, for them, there's gonna definitely be alien species they've never seen before. But for us, from Voyager, is there gonna be species we've never seen before? And I'm looking forward to that. Um, how many more people will join the crew or leave the crew, or will Booker come back? Will he be part of the crew, or who knows? Will we ever find out about his cat? Is she really a queen or just a fat cat? Who knows? Um, will Discovery find Starfleet again? If so, will Starfleet upgrade their weapons and shields and tech? Or will Discovery say, we're just descendants of, and not actually tell them the truth? So that's a good question. Who's the next baddie? Which I'm fine that there's not a overarching this bad guy, this bad guy, this bad guy like there has been the last 2 seasons. That's good. I like that because it goes back to episodic, um, episode by episode, like they've done in TOS, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, and even parts of Star Trek Enterprise. So I'm happy there's not a baddie of the week. Well, I prefer there's a baddie of the week as opposed to a baddie of the season. The first 2 seasons were like that, and it got old when it happens every single season. So, yeah. And then, what is going on with Detmer? It is nobody of importance going to say anything to her. Or is nobody going to just acknowledge the fact that she was insubordinate at least twice, if not 3 times, in front of a guest military person on the bridge? And it took the other chick, I can't think of her name, to say, our shields are up, pushing her to do her job. Is nobody going to say anything? Because it's either Control overtook her because she had damage on her implants, and there was that metallic dust floating around the bridge in the last episode. Is so there's that. Could be just a traumatic brain injury. She could have just hit her head. When after, yeah, she could have just hit her head. Could be PTSD. I doubt that because, which it could be, but Star Trek has done fantastic military PTSD episodes, and that's not how this one should be done. I'm not saying that they can't, but unless if her implants were keeping that part of her back, which they never really said that, but if that's what they're trying to do, then okay. I don't think it'll go over well. I think it'd be better if it's a traumatic brain injury or Control or just her breaking, you know? Not PTSD, but just her breaking emotionally to where it's like, hey, all right, we've been through a lot. Yeah. So the episode ending with them around the tree did help. She was smiling, she was laughing. I think it has something to do with her implant. Whether it's Control or it's not working 100% properly, don't know. Hopefully, we find out soon because I'm not tired of seeing Detmer freak out. I'm just tired of nobody saying anything. Because in the last episode, we saw I can't think of her name. The chick that came from the USS Enterprise. Um, she kind of noticed after she was okay. Um, then Dr. Culber, he noticed. Stamets noticed. Um, and then there was someone else on the bridge who noticed, but nobody said anything to her. So that's my thing, is nobody's paying close enough attention to notice it. If they are, and they're going to bring it up in the next episode, okay, fine. Then touch on it. If you're not, have somebody say something, please. All right. That's pretty much all I have. It's a very good episode. I enjoyed the little Easter eggs that were in there, as well as Christopher Hyderall. I've always enjoyed his acting. There's so many more shows I could think of that he was in, but in the last 20 years, he has been a staple of sci-fi shows, whether it was on Sci-Fi Channel or Netflix or those areas that have solidified sci-fi as a popular genre. Like Sci-Fi Channel, you had Stargate SG-1. He was in there a couple episodes. He was in Stargate Atlantis for several episodes, actually a lot of episodes. He had a reoccurring character in Sanctuary. He had a reoccurring character in Eureka. I'm pretty sure he had a reoccurring character, or at least a one-time character, in Warehouse 13. He was in the TV series of 4400 for one episode. He was in Travelers, the Netflix show done by the same people who did Stargates, for one or two episodes. There are numerous shows that he's been attached to that are sci-fi shows. He was also in Alphas for an episode, about mutants. Believe he was in, at least for an episode or two, of Defiance. I think an episode of Haven. So that's 20 years of TV shows that he's been in, and I'm so excited, so happy to see him again. So, all right, that's all I have for today. Tomorrow, if everything goes well, everything goes as planned, I will be talking about The Mandalorian. If everything goes well. If not, then I shall apologize and talk about something else. All right. Take a chance and explore something new or old, but new to you. Adventure is out there. Go find it. I'll see you tomorrow.